Saturday. Christmas comes early.
Unbelievable! Welcome to this incredible scene.
Bills.
To the end zone!
Chargers.
It's a touchdown!
An exclusive NFL game.
That's fantastic!
Live in primetime.
Wow!
Only on Peacock.
With a Christmas gift to their fans.
They're having some fun now.
Bills versus Chargers. Saturday, 7:30 Eastern. Exclusively on Peacock.
This episode is brought to you by Google Pixel, the official fan phone of the NBA and WNBA. The new Pixel 8 and Pixel 8 Pro are built different. How? Take the Audio Magic Eraser tool. It helps block out distracting crowd noise so your play-by-play commentary sounds crystal clear. The only phone engineered by Google brings out the audio you care about so your videos sound as crisp as they look. Learn more at googlestore.com/pixelnba. Audio Magic Eraser requires Google Photos app. May not work on all audio elements.
The holidays are a time to feel and create joy. And what could be more joyous than the look on her face as she unwraps a stunning new jewelry piece from Blue Nile? How about getting 50% off your purchase? Blue Nile offers premium quality, priced below traditional retail. Their online experts are available 24/7 to answer any questions and make sure you've picked the perfect gift. For a limited time, you can get 50% off at BlueNile.com. That's 50% off at BlueNile.com.
'Tis the season to shine with H&M. Discover the holiday collection and find fashionable pieces for your wardrobe or for under the tree. Get inspired and dazzle with this year's glam. From tuxedo styles, bow detailed pieces, impressive prints, and more. From unforgettable looks to unforgettable gifts. With fashion finds to home decor, find it all at H&M. Treat your loved ones and yourself this season. Shop in-store or at hm.com.
10 minutes in, it's 3-2-none. I'm sipping back an empty can. I don't give a damn.
I will say at games I've never heard Ike yell at players, but I have heard you yell.
No, that's not my role. See, that's not my role. Like I said, there's different roles for everything.
Players, refs.
My football team's got me drinking. Give me beer, whiskey, wine or gin. Anything to shake this mood I'm in. My football team's got me drinking.
Back at it again with another shade of blue. Cody and Thad here from The Journal. Really trying to make that happen as we move to our new brand of the KC Soccer Journal. Maybe our guests can help me make that happen. The Journal is joined by two guys. These two guys, just look at their faces, Thad. It makes me so happy. Two guys that connote happier days of SKC lore. Very good to have you here. We're joined by Benny Feilhaber and Ike Opara, head coach and assistant coach, respectively, of Sporting KC II. And because you guys are here and making me happy, I just want to start us off in a happier place. First of all, welcome. But can you get us going? Give the fans something to smile about. Happier times. Give us a memory of your Sporting KC career. Let us reminisce for a second to the happier days.
Oh, man, we just need to turn on the mic before you guys get on with us. Just leave it in the office then. We were literally talking about some of the old time years, as Peter likes to put it, the glory days.
Yeah, standing near you guys at training for 2 minutes is like the best soccer content in the country that is out there. If only people could hear all of that.
I will say that more often than not, though, we talk about like the negatives. I was just telling Ike how there was one preseason that I came in and Ike's doing some training session. And I was like, dude, you look like you had like 8 legs flailing all out like an octopus trying to control ball. I think it was after one of the long injury stints that he had, and he was trying to get back into form. And I was like,
wobbly legs.
I'm hoping we get the real Ike back soon.
Okay, well, that was also another negative, but good. It made us all smile. It's something to smile about the good old days. So,
one of the questions we keep getting asked when we said we were going to talk to you was, when are you going to add Sal Zizzo to the coaching staff?
When is it happening?
Didn't you just ask the other day?
How many times have you guys been asked that question?
Wait, what'd you say there, Ike?
I said, I think he just asked the other day, to be honest.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Our remark back was, do you work for free?
I don't even know. That's a question we have to ask a lot. So good. That's good.
Sal's living the dream. He's what's that?
Is it a league minimum contract for a coach or something?
Oh no, it's way below that. But no, Sal's doing well. He's got the color commentary for the loyal. I'm sure he's selling some houses out there in oh my gosh, I forgot.
San Diego?
No, but where's the actual place that he?
Oh, I don't even know.
Chula Vista. Chula Vista.
Oh, wow.
Sure, selling
Good
some
real
houses
estate
there in
game
Chula
out
Vista.
there.
Yeah, living the dream with his 4 kids, 3 daughters. He's got a full house. A lot to deal with over there.
If he's selling real estate there, he's probably making more than all of us combined then.
I don't know about all that, but maybe.
Okay, well, we'll take that as a tease that the door is not entirely shut on the SBI podcast. So yeah, Cody Bradley here from the Journal. I'll direct this one towards Benny. A third of the way into the second season, into the Benny and Ike era. How have you settled in? How are you feeling about this new role? How are things going this year?
Yeah, I mean, I love my job. It's been a lot of fun getting into coaching. I got my feet wet. What was in 2020 with UCLA was the first opportunity that I had, and then obviously got to come back to Kansas City beginning of 2021, and have had several different roles within the organization over the last 2.5 years or so. But being able to be the coach of the second team has been everything that I'd hoped for in terms of the ability to learn and grow and become a better coach, but also have a real function in how we develop players for the first team. And this second year has been night and day compared to the first, in the sense that, I mean, we had a lot of homework to do in the off season. We were able to scout some really exciting players, guys that we obviously have done well for us on the second team, but guys that we have high expectations for in at some point becoming a first team player. And so, yeah, it's been a 180 from year one. That's for sure.
I know I've asked Benny this question probably once already in preseason or during the season, but Ike, is there any players that you see as potential first team guys?
Yeah, I think we actually have a handful that I think, depending on, their own trajectory and, their own internal drive, and yeah, some things have to fall their way, right? It's never just always you play well and you automatically guarantee the first team spot, right? You have to have a spot open up, or, timing of, a position on the first team has to arrive on top of, playing well and, potential. There are a handful of guys that I think have shown that they can make a leap if they keep that trajectory. Now, do you want individual guys, or is that just?
Yes, that's what we're looking for. Okay. I was going to say he went political.
Name names.
Name names.
Well, I think the guys I'm going to say they're at different stages in their journey. Like Lucas Rosa, I think has quality to be a first team guy without a doubt. And the defensive aspect of things, he's been much better than we expected, and I need to get on all the details, but he's a guy that's obviously a little bit further ahead than who's a younger guy that might be showing something. Well, I don't want to say this guy's name. He's too young for me, but I think has potential. It's also trying to balance out, making sure guys are in the right headspace. Like Seba Cruz is obviously a little bit more mature as well. Ethan Bryant, we all know, is like his 5th year as a professional, still pretty young, and he's shown really well, even when he got the Open Cup experience last game. Mo, I think has a high ceiling, very high ceiling, left-footed center back. Just reading the game, which is improving. I think that's the biggest thing for him. But the athleticism piece there is off the charts with some technical ability. So those are a few off the top of my head, and I'm sure I'm missing one or two more.
I feel pretty good because those are all guys that I would have been on my list, but not that I really have any knowledge. So,
yeah, don't sell yourself short, Thad. You're everywhere, so I'm pretty sure you have some knowledge. I'd hope, anyways.
Yeah, there's your expertise right there.
I can find my map to get to this training site. That's my expertise.
Yeah, high hopes for Linus as well. I mean, we have high hopes for a lot of guys, to be honest. I mean, truly, we do. Powell's coming in his own in this short amount of time, and can he be consistent with that? We'll see. But yeah, I can go down a list of guys for sure.
I have a lot of questions about, coaching style and the philosophy and all that. But I think the thing to talk about first is the dynamic that I'm really interested in of you guys, of what it means coaching a second team as an arm of the first team. Mark Dos Santos came here and had success, and I think he left because maybe he didn't have enough control over things like that, because this team is developing for the first team and a set system already. So I'm just interested in that dynamic and what you guys think of that, how that's different from maybe if you were coaching a normal team?
Yeah, I mean, look, I think that you look at the people that have coached the second team, there's been 4 head coaches, right? And I genuinely do believe that the people that care for the organization are going to do a better job. And the reason why I say that, and obviously Naga was here for 4 years, the other 2, Mark and Nikola was here for only a year, because there are challenges, right? You're not just running a single entity team where you can decide everything that you want to do, play every player that you want to play, the tactics, everything. It's not like that, right? And so it's for a greater cause. You're trying to promote players. Yes, you're trying to win in the name of the team as well. So it's not like, trust me, me and Ike are both extremely competitive, and we want to win every single week. And when we don't, we suffer just like we did when we were players. But there's that greater thought process of, okay, well, which guys do we see making that jump? Which guys do we need to lean on? Which guys do we need to give more minutes to? Is it moments where sometimes you got to give experience to younger guys, because even though they're not as good of a player today as somebody that maybe will help you win the game, okay, you give them some minutes, you give them some experience, and they can, continue to develop, and maybe in a year or 18 months, they become that player that you're hoping for the first team. And so I do think that you have to put your ego aside to some extent and be able to do things that are better for the good of the club. And I think that people that have been in here, obviously me and Ike had long tenures here with the first team. Naga did as well. And I think there's a reason why, he stuck, he was here for 4 seasons before he had an opportunity to be an MLS coach, and why we, feel comfortable in this role for a long period of time. And so within that, I think that there's the obvious things that are different from running, the first team, is that you're playing within the system of the first team. You're trying to, as much as possible, get players to understand what it would be like if they were to get called up for the first team. And case in point, Ethan Bryant, Seba Cruz, Mo Abelnadi all played in the Open Cup game a few weeks back. 2 of them, are on the roster for the game tonight. And so hopefully that they can take what they've learned here within our system, within the team system with the second team, and be able to apply that with the first team, seamlessly. And so there's things like that obviously make a big difference, and you work on certain, I'd say more specific tactics that are position specific with some of those guys. And I think the one place where you can kind of add your own understanding of the game and flair, so to speak, are in those individual positions and specific moments in games where you can try and create, man advantages, runners in the box, the kind of balls that you want to see, the kind of passes, the kind of movements, the way you want to build out of the back. Because the reality is that the players that you have on the second team aren't the same as the players that you have in the first team. And Peter would tell you the same thing. If he doesn't have a Johnny Russell as a right winger, and he has a guy that's right-footed that isn't going to cut inside, you're going to have to play a little bit differently, right? You're not going to be able to just give him the ball, try and cut inside, maybe have an overlap, whatever it is. There's little differences depending on what kind of players you have. And so that's where I think our own ideas come into play, and we try and help guys see the games in different ways that will still help them out, whether they're playing on our second team, on our first team, or really anywhere else in the world.
I listened to your guys' talk with the MLS crew last year, and you were talking about licenses and getting your license. You mentioned you were in the middle of the A license. Are you guys all licensed up as you properly should be these days?
I've got my A license, and this guy said he loved his B license course.
Just completed my B.
Okay, that's good.
And that's good enough, right?
Well,
yeah. I have no idea what they mean anyway, so yeah, it works for me.
Yeah, we'll see with the A. We'll see.
So you guys are obviously a great pair. The podcast, playing together, all of those days. But I want to get into it here a little bit. You guys you're learning on the fly of this new career together. You face some challenges. I want to know a time where you guys disagreed about something.
That happens a lot.
Well, I think one of my roles, honestly, and it's worked out well, is to play devil's advocate. Obviously there's some decisions that I'm on board with. And at the end of the day, I'm always going to be on board with decisions made. But there's some decisions that I'm on board with from the very beginning. But I always try to bring a different picture into a discussion or into a decision, whether it be personnel or exercise or whatever the case, just because at the end of the day, I think it's valuable to, potentially look at it from a different angle. Maybe, Benny recognizes he can't think of everything at one time. And so it always lends itself to a valuable discussion. And I think it's worked out really well, to be honest.
Yeah. I mean, just to go one more on that, I mean, there's a reason why I wanted Ike, and I obviously called him as soon as I got the job, and I told him, look, you're taking the job. I basically forced him to. And I mean, the reality is you want someone that you can trust and can tell you when they disagree and when you're wrong, because at that point, all it does is it generates conversation, right? And it allows you to think of things that maybe you didn't think of. And you get to maybe a conclusion that neither of you would have gotten to if it was just one or the other. I think there's some of the very simplistic parts of it where I have more of the ideas of, attacking and how to create goal scoring opportunities and whatnot. And Ike obviously has more of the ideas of how to defend and be a unit and not allow goal scoring opportunities for the opponents. But I do think that we mesh really well in terms of just, first, it's the respect of us both knowing the game at a high level. And knowing that neither one of us is going to have all the right answers every single time. But the conversations that happen based on disagreements have always been really, really good. So that's one thing that I really cherish about what we have together.
Which of you two is the more strict or tougher coach? And would the players agree with that?
That was
my finger. I'm pointing to him.
That was correct. You guys have like a good cop, bad cop thing going on here?
Yeah, I wouldn't say, I guess we got to maybe.
Yeah, it just depends on situations. Situations I can be, and at the end of the day, he's got the reins when he needs to really tighten it up. But it would just all depend on what situation, is the disciplinarian, I guess. But, for me, I always try to be a voice of the players and bridge the gap between a head coach and whatnot, just because I think that's also important for a player to have a relationship with this coach in different ways. And again, when it comes down to it, and if there needs to be some strict conversation, I don't hesitate to chime in and sort things out.
Yeah, I've always said I think I'm nicer to our players than I am to my own kids. I'm stricter with my own kids because I genuinely have the thought of, I think it's important for players to have a relationship, obviously with the assistant coach, but with the head coach as well, and have an understanding that he wants the same things as the players want, right? And so to me, I knew going into it that the part of the tactical understanding of the game, I felt like I always had that. I mean, I thought about it constantly as a player, and I didn't worry about that part in terms of as a coach being able to see certain things in the games and make decisions accordingly. And get those ideas across to players. What I always was curious was how my relationships and how my personality would be with a lot of those players. Would it be where guys would want to play for me, or would it be where it's more like a dictatorship where I'm telling people what to do and they're doing it? And so I was always curious at how people would take me. I'm obviously serious, but I'm also, obviously you guys know this, that I crack jokes all the time, but I've never met anyone that wants to win more than me, right? Yeah, maybe at the same level, but never more than me, right? And so that to me was always the question mark, whether that'll come over too aggressively or whatnot. And so I think I've improved in that sense of being able to balance the hopefully players enjoy playing for me and want to go out in the field and perform not only for me, but for our whole team and what we build, but at the same time understand that it's a strict line, right? You got to do your job if you want to play. And if you're not doing your job, then you're not going to play.
I will say at games, I've never heard Ike yell at players, but I have heard you yell.
No, that's not my role. So that's not my role. Like I said, there's different roles for everything.
Players, refs.
But that's the thing about the second team as well, right? Like it's different than the first team. So this is like an advantage of being in the second team is everyone at the end of the day doesn't want to spend their whole career at the second team. So everyone wants the same thing, right? Yeah. It's not like, the first team got to balance some egos, or people want to be famous or make money or make an all-star game or work. Like there's so many things you have to balance at the first team level, where at this level, it's like you truly got to learn, grow, and move on. That's it. And if you can't do one of those three things, you're to the side, and it's not that difficult, right? It's 1-year contracts typically, like it's simpler in certain degrees. So that's why I think the environment we have here has been really good. Even last year, but our record wasn't maybe as good as we wanted it to be. We
know Benny's not afraid to yell at referees. I've known that for a long time now.
Man, I've been trying to tone it down, Cody. I really have, but the game against Houston, that one was tough for me.
Yeah, I think I saw a little bit of yelling from outside because I didn't actually make it inside. I was standing at the fence watching the second half of that game. And
you heard him from beyond the stadium, you're saying?
It's not that big of a stadium. I was outside the fence behind the end line on the one side when they called the penalty there. So
you mentioned this earlier, Benny, but how involved are you in the scouting and signings and all of that? I know that there's a whole department for all of that, and you're just the coach, but how included are you into that process? I
was central to everything that we tried to do in the second team this year. I mean, obviously, and it wasn't, I say that by including me, Ike, Jacob Peterson, who's one of our head domestic scouts,
friend of the pod,
Willis, obviously our technical director. I mean, guys that also scouted the college players and Josh Duffy. So look, there was like 6 or 7 people that really did a lot of scouting. But I would say that I wanted to be part of it, right? Because like I said, I'm competitive, and last year our team wasn't good enough. And so I wanted to make sure that the guys that we brought in were good enough so that essentially our jobs as coaches would be a little bit easier this year, because last year it was very difficult to, even field a competitive team at times. We just weren't very good. Our talent wasn't very good. And put that obviously with our inexperience as coaches. And like you said, learning on the fly, it just didn't mix very well. So this year was, we started working, very early in the off season. And I think we did a really good job of bringing quality players. And yeah, I think that's the beauty with our organization as a whole, right? Sporting, where I'm the head coach, Ike's the assistant coach, and we're doing 3 or 4 other jobs. And that goes for everybody in this organization, all the way up to Peter, which, I mean, you guys can imagine how many things that he does, more so than just being the head coach and the sporting director. So, yeah, it's a lot of work, but it's what we want to do it, right? We want to learn, and we want to get better, and we want to get experience. And obviously we want to have the results on the field. So we were both integral parts of the scouting part in the off season.
Yeah. Like you mentioned last year, the 2 team was not doing too great in the performance. This year it's been much better. But looking at the first team, it's been a little dismal again this year.
Uh-oh.
Is there anything you can say that you could, point to or give Peter advice or, give fans hope that it's going to be a lot better? Or
I'm definitely not giving Peter advice. He's the one giving me advice, if anything. But
I gave Thad the tough question there. But yeah, just what we're.
Oh, look, I think
this to your
we're
comments.
all in this. What's that?
We just wanted to hear your thoughts on the current state of the team.
Look, I think that in MLS, this is inevitable to happen at times. It really is. And I think that the one thing that I'll say is, in my career, Peter is one of the top 2 coaches that I've ever had. I always talk about Peter and Bob. Those are the 2 guys that got the best out of me. Peter is a guy that, like no one else has ever before in MLS, he's been able to get the best out of a group of players. And so we all have faith, not only in him, but the team and the players that we have. And look, I think it's one of those where, how do we get out of a rut, right? And hopefully that game against Seattle is something that we can build on. And obviously Open Cup has always been an opportunity for us to kind of get back into that, confidence level, let's say, where the guys are playing at a higher level than they have been. Because look, we had, a guy like Eric Tommy is a perfect example. He came in last year and he was lights out last season. And in the beginning of this season, it's been a little bit hit or miss. And so, if everybody starts playing a little bit better and guys get their confidence, I think that this team can look like a completely different team from the first 10 games of the year. And I think we all have faith that, Peter's at the helm for that reason, and he can do that job.
We won't hark on that one too much there. I am curious as though you guys having done the podcast before, there's something of a trend in professional sports right now where professional athletes are kind of taking the power back a little bit. You know, the NBA, the players, Benny, I know you're an NBA guy. There's a lot of the players like kind of throwing their weight around over coaches and ownership and things like that. Players are doing podcasts to control the narrative and, you know, not be at the mercy of the media like us. So I'm curious as to, you know, what you guys, what you think of that. Benny, I know you have things that you want to say out there, and I you know, the dynamic with the media and the controlling the narrative. So just curious as to what you think of this trend.
I'll let you touch on it. The only thing I was going to say is I can't believe the path that we opened for all these professional athletes everywhere after BSI broke the doors on everything.
You did. Absolutely.
I wonder in like 15 years when it's still out there, if people are going to look back and be like, oh, what is this? Like, I think
it'll be one of those like indie movies that come back 20 years later and then become the hit that it always was supposed to be.
Yeah, before our time. But no, I think it's important to a certain extent, like taking the power back in the narrative. And, you know, the media will never understand, and why would they ever understand everything that happens in the locker room behind the it's just, so you're having to make, you know, hopefully educated guesses, where I know some just, you know, spew things for whether it be a gender or rape, but like, so you'll never have the full details when you come to the conclusion of anything. Whereas, you know, we are in it, we understand it, we go through it. And so it's like, no, I'm tired of being, you know, I can't explicitly see it, but like tired of being looked down upon or like being incorrectly portrayed. So I'm going to say what's really happening in my perspective, and really at the end of the day, whether it be shut up people or just like, no, this is what it really is. My only thing with the podcast and all those things is, you know, whatever sport you play in, that's your A, right? That's what you do. That's why you got there. So I don't care if it's podcasting or fashion or anything else. You know, when those become now your A, B, C, and your place begins to suffer, that's the challenge in that world, which is, you know, at the end of the day, you got to being whatever athlete you did by being disciplined and all those things. And yeah, some talent and work, like when all that starts to subside because of all the other things in your life that, you know, aren't family related, you know, that's when it becomes a balance of, you know, how often are you doing it or where you're putting it out. So that's the only thing from my end on it. But hey, if you can handle both, no problem. Like,
yeah, I mean, I think the reality is that fans love it, right? Fans like watching it and seeing people a little bit more open, and being able to, you know, describe themselves a little bit better than the media maybe portrays them.
You guys were always going to get a better answer out of a player than if Thad or I were going to ask them.
Right. That's what we got with BSI, right? I mean, Carlos Vela came on and finally described exactly what he went through in terms of with the Mexican national team and why, and he decided to not play in a World Cup. And I honestly feel like he had never said that before in any medium, whether it be with American or Mexican media. So it's cool. You know, it's good to see. And people are, you know, doing it and fans are enjoying it. I think the reality is no matter what you do though, as a celebrity these days, if people know you, if you are semi-famous in any way, there are going to be haters and there are going to be lovers, right? It doesn't matter what you do. You could explain yourself for a million years. Your haters are still probably going to be your haters for whatever reason, because of one thing that you did 10 years ago when you were at Rio Tinto Stadium.
I was just going to say,
Salt Lake.
I was just going to say, like, RSL fans. Yeah. Another example of that on the show was, I always think of when you guys interviewed Amobi Okugo, and he was just very open about his opinion of Peter Vermees. I was just thinking about that. I
can't remember.
Yeah.
I mean, he didn't have a good experience here. So
he was talking about how players were like afraid to tell him they were injured or afraid to get injured. But no, so yeah, I guess I'm just interested in that dynamic, because if Shallowy and Russell started doing a podcast together, it would entirely put us out of business.
I don't think anybody, unless they put subtitles, you're probably okay.
Yeah. Understanding Johnny is a little difficult at the best of times.
Yeah.
Where I'm going with this line of questioning is, I know you guys have things you want to say. You've kind of teased maybe the potential. The podcast is not entirely dead, but the people want to hear from you. So are we doing this? Are you guys coming back? A monthly show, a weekly show? Start off harder.
Dude,
weekly show.
Did Sal tweet you? Sal's been asking for us to come back to life for a while.
Yeah.
And here's the reality, right? Here's the reality. When we did it, we were all unemployed. At least I was. Were you?
No.
I was unemployed. Once you're employed and everything you say now bounces back to you're
employed 19 though. We did 19.
Do we?
Yeah.
I was about to retire.
Mentally checked out.
Yeah, isn't it?
But yeah, so anyways, I think that the reality is for me, one, time. You don't have as much time. And we actually put a lot of effort into like preparing things and knowing about who we were going to interview and what questions. And obviously this guy trying to stump him with what was the name of the thing? Plead the fifth.
Yeah, the interrogation.
Yeah. So, I mean, there was a lot of, research that went into it. I mean, you guys probably know yourselves. And so I don't have time for that stuff. And there's things that you won't be able to.
You've got your production crew right here. You guys just show up once a week. We do this thing. I like it.
Once a week's way too much. You're sounding like Sal more and more.
You see what I'm saying? You start off strong. Okay, we'll negotiate it down. Yeah. We'll settle on
if we add Sal to this group, we can get you in, right?
You're less likely to get us, I think.
Okay, well, Sal's out. Screw him.
Yeah.
All right, gentlemen. Well, thank you very much for joining. Appreciate the time.
We'll talk to you in 4 weeks again.
No, we'll talk to you guys. Talk to you guys next week. Right?
I'm sure I'm going to see Thad sooner than 4 weeks from now.
Probably
training.
I don't know about you, Cody, but Thad, I'm sure I'll see like tomorrow over here at Swope.
Yes,
potentially, but I will not be at the game this weekend.
Wow, what do you got going on this weekend, Thad?
The Current would be playing at the same time, and it would also be Mother's Day.
It's a trek.
Mother's Day. I know. For Mother's Day, my wife's just going to bring all 3 kids and have one hell of a time at Lawrence at KU Rock Chalk Park.
It's a trek, man. I heard you giving Peter crap for you were like, why don't you could come out sometime and watch.
I don't know where you heard that from.
Cody, you're just trying to lay landmines down right now? What's going on?
A little bit at the end.
Last day of the job there. Thanks, Cody.
All right. Well, thank you very much, guys. We'll talk to you soon.
Hey, why did you guys change from the Blue Testament to the Journal? Why is the name change?
Long story short is SB Nation fired all of us.
But you can't keep the same name?
We could, but there was a long discussion in our Slack channel about keeping the same name or changing it.
Were you a fan of TBT?
Oh, yeah. I get news over there all the time.
But a lot of us
saw your guys' what's that?
Throwback Thursday?
A lot of us liked the name The Blue Testament and keeping it. But some didn't.
It wasn't my favorite. The Journal. Help us hammer that.
The haters and the lovers right there.
Well, when it was internal, though, I didn't want to have there was never going to be one answer that everybody was going to like.
Well, either way, the content itself is still very good. I mean, honestly, the fact that you guys keep track of every player that's ever played and where they're playing and minutes and all that's insanity.
That is Mike Kuhn. We cannot take credit for that. Mike is an insane person.
All credit to Mike. He is the resident historian for soccer in Kansas City at Sporting, on the NWSL, the indoor. Players who grew up in Kansas City area and now play elsewhere. It's insane. And
it is
literally like anytime I got a question, I go, "Hey, Mike, and how many goals did Benny have?" And I don't have to go look it up because it may be wrong and Mike will be right.
You can just text me. I'll let you know what year were you thinking?
No, all time, including college. I mean, like
college.
Actually, he wouldn't have college, but he's insane.
I could tell you in MLS. I think it's 41, but
how many with left foot, right foot, and head?
Ooh, left foot, I'd guess probably 4, maybe.
I remember the free kick where you pointed at the leg.
That wasn't a free kick.
Oh, it wasn't.
No,
yeah, I'm thinking of the one. I'm thinking of that one.
That's legendary Galaxy. Yep. Yeah. That was right leg, definitely.
I just so you don't feel left out here, I was reminiscing about all of your guys' playing days. My favorite Ike Opara moment was in the skinny New York City field, the long throw in from Matt Biesler, where it was just ended up as a perfect corner kick because the field is so skinny. And the celebration, Ike, oh man, I miss you, man.
Well, I don't think I formally retired yet, so I'm still available. Well, no, I'm medically retired for sure. But
I thought you'd formally retired.
Yeah, I'm medically retired, but
I was going to make sure if I said I went down to practice and saw Benny playing in the scrimmage, I would make sure to mention that you were not.
I never played, and I never will.
I've not seen you do anything down there, and
No.
I have seen Benny
yeah.
back there. Benny was ticked off that day when I told him he looked good out there in that scrimmage. He was mad. He was
I
like,
hope not. I want you to tell me I look like crap compared to all the other players. That's my hope, anyways.
Oh, wow. True coach there.
no, and I get that, and that's fair, but you did actually look pretty decent. A lot slower.
And ergo, I was upset at you.
Yep.
Benny's tricks could work long into his older years. Those little, just the passes, the dinks, the tricks, that was his specialty.
Yeah, the problem is the running.
He was just moving the ball around, and that he wasn't getting up and down the field like some of those other guys were, but he was still moving the ball around pretty good.
All right, boys. Thank you very much, and we'll talk to you in a week.
Yeah, we'll see.
The other side don't seem so tough, and 3 own goals ain't all that rough. Our skipper has just been sent off. Some punter strong and ball gone soft. My football team's got me drinking. My football team's got me drinking. My football team's got me drinking. Give me beer or whiskey, wine or gin, anything to shake this mood I'm in. My football team's got me drinking. My football team's got me drinking. My football team's got me drinking.